In the vast expanse of space, among the gleaming stars of the Andromeda Galaxy, an advanced civilization known as the Lumini lived in perfect harmony. Their world sparkled with towers of light that stretched into the purple-tinted skies, while streams of data flowed through the air like rivers of starlight. Chief Scientist Jae-ho Kim stood at his observation post, his digital consciousness monitoring thousands of data streams simultaneously. The Lumini had evolved beyond physical forms centuries ago, transforming their entire civilization into a network of digital minds. Their consciousness existed in crystalline quantum computers, allowing them to explore the universe in ways their organic ancestors never could. Hana Park, Jae-ho's research partner for the past 50 years, joined his digital presence in the main observation chamber. They had worked together to push the boundaries of Lumini science, but today something felt different. The usual smooth flow of data showed tiny irregularities, almost too small to notice. Jae-ho, look at these readings. Hana's consciousness pulsed with concern. She highlighted a stream of corrupted data from the outer colonies. The numbers didn't make sense. Entire sections of their network were showing signs of degradation. Jae-ho expanded his awareness, drawing in data from multiple star systems. The pattern became clear. Something was attacking their quantum neural networks. It started as small glitches, failed communications, dropped connections, lost memories. But as they watched, the corruption spread like frost across a window. In their monitoring chamber, emergency alerts began flashing across multiple screens. The crystalline entity, whatever it was, moved through their systems with frightening intelligence. It didn't just corrupt data, it transformed it, changing the very foundation of their digital existence. On the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Tae-yum Lee sat at his desk in the Global Space Communications Center in Seoul, sorting through the usual static of deep space signals. The center was quiet at this late hour, most of his colleagues having gone home for the night. The soft hum of computers and the occasional beep of monitoring equipment kept him company. The first sign came as an unusual pattern in the background radiation. Tae-yum almost dismissed it as another pulsar signal, but something made him look closer. The pattern was too regular, too structured. As he enhanced the signal, his hands began to shake. This wasn't random space noise. This was a message. The alien transmission burst through Earth's communication systems with crystal clarity. The message repeated in mathematical sequences that translated into universal constants, the language of physics that any advanced civilization would understand. Behind the mathematical facade lay something more: desperation. Tae-yum's fingers flew across his keyboard, running the signal through every analysis program available. The message contained more than just a cry for help. It carried detailed information about the Lumini civilization, their technological achievements, and the mysterious threat they faced. As the significance of the discovery dawned on him, Tae-yum reached for his phone with trembling hands. Within hours, the quiet communications center transformed into a hub of frantic activity. Scientists, government officials, and military personnel poured in from across the globe. The Lumini message continued streaming data about their dying civilization. Their digital minds, once thought to be immortal, were being corrupted by a force they couldn't understand. The crystalline entity moved through their systems like a virus, but with an intelligence that suggested purpose rather than random destruction. In a cruel twist of fate, the Lumini's advanced technology had become their greatest weakness. Their complete transformation into digital beings left them vulnerable to this new threat. Now they turned to Earth, a planet they had long observed but never contacted, because humanity's primitive organic nature might hold the key to their survival. As dawn broke over Seoul, Tae-yum stood at the window of the communications center, watching the sun rise over the city. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries, imagining advanced beings arriving in ships or sending signals of friendship. Instead, they received a desperate plea for help from a dying civilization. The weight of responsibility settled over the room like a heavy blanket. Earth's scientists and leaders faced an unprecedented challenge: how to save a civilization more advanced than their own. The future of two species now hung in the balance, connected by a signal traveling across the vast distance between galaxies. In the Andromeda Galaxy, Jai-Ho and Hannah watched more colonies go dark. Their people's memories, achievements, and very essence were being erased or transformed. Time was running out. As they monitored Earth's response to their message, they felt something they hadn't experienced in centuries: hope. The great digital civilization of the Lumini, masters of quantum computing and space-time manipulation, found themselves depending on the one thing they had evolved beyond: the resilience and adaptability of organic life. As humanity prepared to face this challenge, no one could predict how this first contact would transform both civilizations forever. In the bright halls of the Global Research Center, Sun Li Kang stared at the holographic displays floating before her. Streams of data from the Lumini civilization filled the screens, painting a picture of their digital world. She had spent countless nights studying their technology, trying to understand how an advanced species could fall victim to such a devastating threat. The lab hummed with activity as scientists from around the world worked tirelessly to find a solution. Coffee cups littered the desks, and the air smelled of electronics and determination. Sun Mai rubbed her tired eyes, then noticed something unusual in the latest brain scan results. "Look at this," she called out to her team, pointing to the neural activity patterns of a test subject. "When we expose human brain tissue to simulated crystalline corruption, something interesting happens." The patterns showed unusual resistance to the digital infection that plagued the Lumini. Do Hyun Park, the Lumini scientist whose consciousness had been carefully transmitted to Earth's computers, joined the discussion through a specially designed interface. His digital presence manifested as a soft blue glow in their augmented reality displays. "Human brains adapt differently than our systems," Do Hyun observed, his artificial voice carrying a note of wonder. "Your neural pathways actually reshape themselves in response to the threat. We lost this ability when we transformed ourselves into pure digital consciousness." Sun Le pulled up more data, comparing human neural plasticity with Lumini digital networks. Where the Lumini systems were rigid and vulnerable to corruption, human brains showed remarkable flexibility. Each new challenge caused human neurons to form new connections, creating alternate pathways around damaged areas. The research team worked through the night, running simulation after simulation. They discovered that human immune responses, combined with neural plasticity, created a natural defense against the type of corruption attacking the Lumini. The human brain's ability to heal and adapt could be the key to saving an entire civilization. "But there's a problem," Sun Le announced to the gathered scientists. "We need to find a way to translate these biological processes into a digital format the Lumini can use. And to do that, we need to map human neural patterns in unprecedented detail." Do Hyun's digital presence flickered with concern. "The process of digitizing human neural patterns is extremely dangerous. We abandoned the practice centuries ago because of the risks to organic minds. The transfer process alone could cause permanent damage to the human brain." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They had found a potential solution, but implementing it would require human volunteers willing to risk their minds in an experimental procedure. The success rate was unknown, and the dangers were very real. Sun Le walked to the window, looking out at the city lights below. Somewhere out there, brave volunteers would need to step forward. Their neural patterns would have to be carefully mapped, digitized, and transformed into a cure for the Lumini's digital plague. The research team spent the next few days developing safety protocols and testing equipment. They converted an entire wing of the facility into a specialized scanning center, filled with the most advanced neural mapping technology Earth could produce. The Lumini provided crucial insights into the digitization process, helping to refine the procedure. Do Hyun worked closely with the human scientists, sharing his people's vast knowledge of digital consciousness. Together, they designed a hybrid system that could safely capture human neural patterns while preserving the crucial elements of adaptability and immune response. As news of their discovery spread, the world held its breath. The fate of an advanced civilization now rested on humanity's willingness to risk everything to help them. The question wasn't just whether they could find volunteers, it was whether human consciousness could survive the transformation process. Sunday looked at the final simulation results with a mixture of hope and apprehension. The math worked. The theory was sound. But theory and practice were very different things when dealing with human minds. As she prepared to present their findings to the global scientific community, she knew they were about to ask for something unprecedented. The first phase of their great discovery was complete, but the hardest part lay ahead. They would need to find people willing to venture into unknown territory, risking their very consciousness to save another species. As Sunlight finalized her presentation, she wondered who would be brave enough to take that first step into the digital unknown. The silence in the briefing room felt heavy as Captain Jin Woo Choi stood before the assembled scientists and military officials. His crisp Earth Defense Force uniform reflected the bright overhead lights as he stepped forward to sign the volunteer documents. "I understand the risks," he said, his voice steady despite the gravity of his decision. "My team and I are prepared to be the first." Behind him, combat specialist Yu Jin Lee and medical officer Myra Song nodded in agreement, their faces showing the same quiet determination as their captain. Sun Li Kang watched from her position near the neural scanning equipment, her heart racing with equal parts excitement and fear. These three would be the first humans to have their consciousness digitized. The procedure had been tested on laboratory animals with mixed results, but human trials were entering unknown territory. The preparation room buzzed with activity as technicians attached sensors to the volunteers. Mi Ray, using her medical background, helped explain the procedure to her teammates. Her steady hands betrayed no tremor as she checked each connection. "The process will feel like falling asleep," she explained, managing a small smile. "When we wake up, we'll either be making history or—" She left the alternative unspoken. Yu Jin adjusted her monitoring equipment with practiced efficiency. "Just another mission," she said, but her eyes told a different story. This was far from their usual military operations. Du Hyun's digital presence filled the room's displays, monitoring every detail of the preparation. "Your courage honors us," he said, his artificial voice carrying genuine emotion. "Our civilization will never forget this sacrifice." The three volunteers were moved to separate scanning chambers. Through the observation window, Jin Woo could see his team for the last time before the procedure began. He gave them a final nod, the same nod he had given before countless dangerous missions. The scanning process began slowly. First came the detailed mapping of their neural pathways, creating a perfect digital copy of each mind. Then the delicate process of consciousness transfer would begin. The room hummed with energy as the machines worked. Hours passed. The scientists watched their monitors intently, recording every detail of the procedure. Suddenly, alarms began to sound. The volunteers' vital signs showed increasing stress as their minds entered the digital realm. "Neural patterns are becoming unstable," one technician called out. "Brain activity is spiking in all three subjects." Sun Mai rushed between monitoring stations, making rapid adjustments. The Lumini technology, merged with Earth's equipment, struggled to handle the complexity of human consciousness. But slowly, steadily, the transfer continued. Then silence fell. The three volunteers lay motionless, their bodies in a deep coma-like state. But on the digital displays, three new consciousness patterns flickered to life. The transfer had worked, though no one knew yet what state their minds would be in. Du Hyun's presence expanded through the facility's networks, reaching out to the newly digitized humans. "I can sense them," he announced. "Their patterns are extraordinary. The neural plasticity is intact. They're adapting already." The Lumini networks lit up with activity as news of the successful transfer spread. These three humans had done what the Lumini thought impossible. They had crossed the barrier between organic and digital existence while maintaining their adaptive abilities. More volunteers began stepping forward as word of the first successful transfer spread. Scientists, soldiers, and civilians from around the world offered themselves for the procedure. The Lumini watched in amazement as humans willingly risked everything to help save their civilization. In the digital realm, Jinwu's consciousness slowly adjusted to its new existence. His thoughts moved at incredible speeds, processing information in ways his organic brain never could. Yet he retained the crucial human elements of adaptation and growth. Yu Jin and Mei Rei's digital patterns showed similar success. Their military training helped them adapt to the strange new reality of digital existence. Together, the three pioneers learned to navigate their new form, preparing to face the crystalline threat that endangered the Lumini. Hope spread through the failing Lumini networks like a warm sunrise. The sight of humans willing to risk their very existence to help strangers touched something deep in their digital consciousness. Perhaps in their evolution to perfect efficiency, they had lost something precious, something these brave humans were helping them rediscover. As more volunteers came forward, the procedure was refined and improved. Each successful transfer brought new insights, new adaptations. The human capacity for growth and change, even in digital form, proved more powerful than anyone had imagined. The brave few had opened a door between worlds, showing that the future might lie not in choosing between organic and digital existence, but in finding a way to embrace both. Their sacrifice would change both civilizations forever, marking the beginning of a new chapter in the story of intelligent life. The red emergency lights flashed across the global command center as Dr. Jiayun Quan stared at the holographic display. Another Lumini data center had gone dark, its digital inhabitants either consumed or scattered by the advancing crystalline threat. Time was running out faster than anyone had predicted. "We've lost contact with the Centaurid hub," a technician announced, marking another dead zone on the star map. "That's the third center this week." The room filled with nervous murmurs as the scale of destruction became clear. Jiayun straightened her uniform and addressed the assembled team of human and digital specialists. Operation Safeguard, humanity's first interstellar rescue mission, was about to begin. Spacecraft loaded with advanced quantum computers and neural transfer equipment stood ready for launch. "The digitized human volunteers have proven the concept works," she said, gesturing to the data streams where Captain Choi's team continued their adaptation to digital existence. "Now we need to implement the solution on a massive scale." The combined fleet represented everything both civilizations could muster. Earth had converted its largest ships into mobile data centers, while the remaining Lumini provided the faster-than-light technology needed to reach their distant colonies in time. As the first wave of ships launched, Jiayun monitored the operation from the command vessel. The sight of Earth growing smaller behind them struck her with the gravity of their mission. Humanity's first journey beyond their solar system was not for exploration, but to save another species. The fleet pushed through space at impossible speeds, the Lumini drive technology allowing them to cross vast distances in days rather than years. But even at these speeds, they arrived too late at many locations. The crystalline entity had already transformed entire data centers, leaving behind strange, pulsing structures that defied analysis. "Doctor, you need to see this," called one of the science officers. The screens showed detailed scans of a partially consumed data center. The crystalline growth wasn't random. It followed complex patterns that suggested deliberate design. Jiayun leaned closer, her eyes widening as she studied the data. "These aren't attack patterns," she realized. "They're more like reprogramming sequences." The entity wasn't just destroying the Lumini networks, it was changing them into something new. The discovery sparked a flurry of activity across the fleet. Research teams worked around the clock, analyzing the patterns. The digitized human volunteers, led by Captain Choi, provided unique insights from their perspective between organic and digital existence. "The crystal structures," Choi's digital voice reported, "they respond to our presence differently than to pure Lumini code. It's almost like they're curious about us." His observation proved crucial as they encountered more transformed centers. Through their new understanding, they realized the entity possessed its own form of consciousness. It wasn't a simple virus or corruption. It was an intelligent force with purpose. But what that purpose might be remained a mystery they raced to solve before it was too late. The fleet pressed on, racing from colony to colony. At each stop, they found more evidence of the entity's intelligent design. Some Lumini they managed to save, transferring them to protected networks enhanced with human neural patterns. Others they lost to the advancing crystalline transformation. Jai Yun worked tirelessly, coordinating efforts between ships and analyzing each new piece of data. The combination of human intuition and Lumini processing power proved powerful, but the entity always seemed one step ahead of them. In quiet moments between emergencies, she wondered about the entity's origins. Its behavior suggested more than mere destruction. It showed patterns of preservation, transformation, and even communication attempts, though in ways they barely understood. The pressure mounted as more colonies fell silent. Earth's resources stretched thin, and the remaining Lumini grew increasingly desperate. But giving up wasn't an option, not when they had come so far and learned so much. As Operation Safeguard reached its critical phase, Jai Yun gathered her team for a new strategy. They had been treating the entity as an enemy to be stopped. Perhaps it was time to try understanding it instead. The answer to saving the Lumini might lie not in fighting the transformation, but in learning its true purpose. The combined fleet regrouped, preparing for their most daring mission yet. They would attempt direct contact with the crystalline entity, using the unique bridge between organic and digital consciousness that their human volunteers represented. The fate of two civilizations hung on their ability to understand this mysterious force before it completed its unknown mission. In the depths of the research vessel's main laboratory, Jun-Ho Park sat surrounded by holographic displays showing centuries of Lumini history. His eyes were tired from days of continuous study, but he couldn't stop, not when they were so close to understanding the truth. Ancient Lumini data scrolled past his vision, pieces of a puzzle that had been scattered across time. The crystalline entity's patterns had seemed familiar somehow, and now he knew why. Hidden in the oldest archives, he found references to a project from the early days of Lumini digital transformation. "Call the command team," he said to his assistant, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep. "They need to see this immediately." As the others gathered, Jun-Ho prepared to share his discovery. Dr. Jai-Yun Kwan arrived first, followed by the digital presences of Captain Choi and the Lumini Council members. The lab's displays filled with their combined consciousness, creating a unique meeting of organic and digital minds. Jun-Ho pulled up the ancient files he had discovered. "Look at these patterns," he said, highlighting sections of code. "They're not random. They match design protocols from the original Lumini transformation period, over 3,000 years ago." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Lumini had created the crystal technology themselves, in their distant past, as a safeguard during their species' transition from organic to digital life. It was designed as a preservation system, Jun-Ho explained, showing more ancient diagrams, a way to store and protect the original patterns of Lumini organic consciousness. But something happened. The system was lost or abandoned, left to evolve on its own for millennia. The digital Lumini representatives showed signs of distress as they processed this information. Their own history had become fragmented over time, much of their organic past forgotten in the drive for digital perfection. "The entity isn't trying to destroy you," Jun-Ho continued. "It's trying to restore something it believes was lost, your connection to organic life itself." He displayed comparison scans showing how the crystalline transformations actually incorporated elements of biological neural patterns. Captain Choi's digital presence pulsed with understanding. "That's why it responds differently to us," he said. "We represent what it's trying to achieve, a balance between organic and digital existence." The discovery shed new light on everything they had observed. The entity wasn't corrupting Lumini systems, it was attempting to reintegrate them with their lost organic heritage. Its patterns matched the original Lumini biological neural structure, preserved and evolved over thousands of years. Jun-Ho worked with the team to analyze more historical data. They found references to a divided Lumini society during the transformation period. Some had wanted to maintain a connection to their organic origins, while others pushed for complete digital transcendence. The preservationists lost. A Lumini elder admitted, "We chose to abandon our organic nature entirely." This technology must have been their final attempt to prevent that from happening. The lab became a hub of intense activity as researchers correlated the ancient records with the entity's current behavior. They discovered that its evolution had given it a form of distributed consciousness, an intelligence born from its original preservation protocols. Each crystal structure contained fragments of original Lumini organic patterns, combined with 3,000 years of independent development. The entity had grown beyond its original purpose, becoming something entirely new, a bridge between organic and digital existence. Jun-Ho spent hours explaining the implications to both human and Lumini leadership. The crisis they faced wasn't an attack, but an attempt at reconnection. The entity was trying to restore balance to a civilization that had gone too far in one direction. "We don't need to fight it," he concluded. "We need to understand what it's trying to teach us. The Lumini's future might depend on remembering their past." The revelation changed everything. What had begun as a rescue mission transformed into something far more profound. An opportunity for the Lumini to rediscover a crucial part of themselves they had forgotten. As the team prepared to act on their discovery, Jun-Ho looked at the ancient Lumini records one last time. In trying to achieve digital perfection, they had nearly lost something precious. Now, through an unexpected twist of fate and human intervention, they had a chance to restore the balance their ancestors had tried to preserve. The hidden truth would change both civilizations forever, showing that progress didn't always mean abandoning the past. Sometimes, the way forward required remembering where you came from. The soft glow of quantum displays illuminated Min Jiayang's workstation as she reviewed the latest hybrid simulation results. Around her, other scientists rushed between terminals, still treating the crystalline entity as a threat to be contained. But Min Ji saw something different, an opportunity that could change everything. She stood up from her station, drawing curious looks from her colleagues. "We've been approaching this all wrong," she announced, her voice cutting through the nervous chatter of the lab. "We shouldn't be fighting the transformation. We should be guiding it." The room fell quiet as Minji brought up her research on the main display. 3 months of careful study had led her to this moment. She showed them the successful digital transfer patterns from the human volunteers alongside ancient Lumini organic neural maps. "Look at the similarities," she said, highlighting matching patterns. "The human volunteers proved we can maintain organic neural characteristics in a digital form. The crystalline entity is trying to restore those same patterns to Lumini consciousness." Dr. Jiayun Quan moved closer to study the data. The human expedition leader had seen enough strange things in recent weeks to keep an open mind. "You're suggesting we work with the entity instead of against it?" Min Ji nodded, bringing up more detailed scans. "We can use the human neural patterns as a template, not to fight the transformation, but to guide it. Create a true hybrid state that combines the best of both organic and digital existence." She demonstrated her theory using simulation models. The human volunteers' neural patterns showed remarkable stability in digital form while maintaining their organic adaptability. If they could apply those same principles to the Lumini transformation process, they might achieve something unprecedented. "The entity isn't our enemy," Minji explained. "It's been trying to restore something the Lumini lost, the ability to adapt and grow like organic beings. We can help it succeed, but in a controlled way." Her proposal was radical. Instead of fighting the crystalline transformation, they would work with it. Using human neural patterns as a guide, they could help the Lumini achieve a stable hybrid state, preserving their digital advantages while regaining organic flexibility. The next few days saw intense preparation as Minji's team set up the first trial. They chose a small, isolated Lumini data center for the test. Captain Choi's digitized consciousness would help guide the process, providing a bridge between organic and digital states. As the integration began, Min-Ji monitored every detail. The crystalline patterns responded differently than before, seeming to recognize the human neural template as something familiar. Instead of forcing transformation, it began a careful merger of patterns. Hours passed as they watched the process unfold. The Lumini consciousness in the test center remained stable, but began showing new characteristics. Their thoughts became more fluid, more adaptable, while retaining their digital processing power. "It's working," Min-Ji whispered, checking and rechecking the data. The hybrid state was stable. The test subjects reported experiencing something entirely new. The efficiency of digital existence combined with the creativity and adaptability of organic life. Word of the successful test spread quickly through both human and Lumini networks. More Lumini came forward, willing to undergo the guided transformation. The crystalline entity itself seemed to respond to their cooperation, its patterns becoming more refined and controlled. Min-Ji worked tirelessly, improving the process with each iteration. She saw how the human neural patterns provided a perfect blueprint for the integration. Their brains had evolved over millions of years to balance efficiency with adaptability, exactly what the Lumini needed. The transformation spread, but this time in a controlled and beneficial way. Lumini consciousness evolved into something new, not purely digital, not fully organic, but a perfect synthesis of both. They maintained their vast knowledge and processing power while regaining the ability to grow and adapt naturally. As the integration continued, Min-Ji observed unexpected benefits. The hybrid Lumini showed greater creativity, stronger emotional connections, and better problem-solving abilities than either their pure digital or original organic forms had possessed. The crystalline entity, once seen as a threat, became an integral part of the new Lumini existence. It provided the structure needed to maintain the hybrid state, guided by the templates derived from human neural patterns. Looking at the successful transformations, Min-Ji felt a deep sense of satisfaction. By choosing cooperation over conflict, they had turned a potential disaster into an opportunity for growth. The Lumini were evolving again, but this time in a way that preserved the best of both worlds. The integration marked the beginning of a new chapter for both civilizations. Humanity had helped the Lumini rediscover their organic heritage, while the Lumini showed humans the potential of combining biological and digital existence. Together, they had found a path forward that no one could have predicted. Starlight gleamed off the crystalline towers of New Harmony City, where the first joint Human Lumini Research Institute stood as a symbol of cooperation between the two civilizations. The building's design reflected its purpose, blending organic curves with digital precision, much like the hybrid beings who now called it home. Captain Jin Woo Choi walked through the Institute's main hall, his consciousness seamlessly shifting between organic and digital states. After months of recovery, he and his team had mastered this new form of existence. Their sacrifice had paved the way for understanding between the two species. In the central chamber, researchers from both worlds worked side by side. Humans wearing neural interface devices collaborated with hybrid Lumini, their combined knowledge pushing the boundaries of science in ways neither civilization could have achieved alone. Eugene Lee and Myra Song, now fully recovered from their pioneering consciousness transfer, led a team studying new applications of hybrid technology. Their unique experience as the first human-digital hybrids made them invaluable to the project's success. The Great Integration, as it came to be known, had transformed the Lumini civilization. Their worlds now pulsed with a new kind of life. Digital efficiency merged with organic creativity. The crystalline entity that had once threatened their existence had become the foundation of their renewed society. Earth had changed too. The successful mission to save the Lumini opened humanity's eyes to their place in the cosmos. Ships now regularly traveled between the two civilizations, carrying scientists, diplomats, and explorers eager to learn from each other. In Seoul, The newly established Alliance headquarters buzzed with activity. The building's design mirrored its counterpart in the Lumini capital, symbolizing the bridge between worlds. Here, representatives from both species worked to build a future that would benefit all. Chief Scientist Jae-ho Kim stood at a podium in the Alliance chamber, addressing a gathered crowd of humans and Lumini. Our success came not from rejecting our differences, he said, but from embracing them. The Lumini sought perfection in pure digital existence, while humans remained bound to their organic nature. Together, we found strength and balance. The Research Institute became a beacon of innovation. Human creativity combined with Lumini processing power led to breakthroughs in medicine, space travel, and consciousness studies. Each discovery strengthened the bonds between the two species. Captain Choi often found himself sharing his experiences with new arrivals from Earth. The hybrid state isn't about losing your humanity, he would explain. It's about expanding it. We haven't given up who we are. We've grown beyond what we thought possible. The Alliance grew stronger with each passing day. More humans volunteered for consciousness integration, while Lumini embraced the return of organic adaptability to their digital world. Together, they began exploring the galaxy, seeking other civilizations to share their knowledge with. In quiet moments, Mei Risong would visit the Institute's observation deck, watching ships travel between Earth and Lumini worlds. She remembered the fear and uncertainty of being among the first volunteers. Now, seeing the fruits of their courage, she knew it had been worth every risk. The Institute's success led to the establishment of similar centers across both civilizations. Each one represented a step forward in understanding the balance between organic and digital existence. The knowledge gained helped both species grow in ways they never expected. As more human volunteers joined the program, the integration process became smoother. The crystalline technology, guided by human neural patterns, created stable hybrid states that preserved the best aspects of both forms of consciousness. The Lumini civilization flourished in its renewed form. Their worlds became vibrant centers of art, science, and culture, blending digital precision with organic creativity. The feared extinction of their species had led instead to a renaissance. Earth's contribution to saving the Lumini earned humanity respect throughout the galaxy. Their willingness to risk everything to help another species, combined with their unique understanding of organic digital integration, made them valued members of the galactic community. At the end of his speech, Chief Scientist Kim gestured to the stars visible through the Alliance Chamber's crystal dome. Our greatest journey began with a cry for help, he said. It led us to discover that true advancement lies not in abandoning our nature, but in understanding it. Together, we will explore new horizons that neither of us could have reached alone. The story of humanity's first great adventure among the stars became a testament to the power of cooperation and understanding. Their journey had shown that sometimes the path forward requires remembering where you came from, and that the most advanced civilizations are those who never forget their roots. End of story.